The AT&T bill that was being taken out of my account that wasn't budgeted for, and that we needed to take it out of the, she had to go get something. We haven't made out, but while she does that, I'll talk about the other thing about a bid on sealing the windows, the framing of the windows when Ron Wilson remodeled upstairs. The framing, he took that out. There was no insulation around the windows, and he took the framing out. He insulated all around their windows, and then he put the framing back in, and it really helped. If you go to the windows, some of them aren't as bad as others. Some of the windows, excuse me, Melissa, you can actually take this piece and it like falls out, and you can feel the coolness that comes around. So he'd take this framing off all the way around, and you put insulation. You can see where this one's coming out too. Insulation in there, and then he'd secure the framing back in. And I received an estimate from him he just looked at Jeannie Dunn's office. All the windows are primarily the same. Some offices have more windows, some have less. But it's going to come out to about $90 to $80 a window. And it's something that, not doing them all at once, he wouldn't be able to do that anyway. It would just be, we'd get the worst ones. Like Jeannie Dunn's are really bad in her office, and Dolores' office. So we kind of progress and do a little bit of...
An office at a time.
An office at a time. Then there are some broken actual windows that I have somebody that's supposed to come this week and check them. They won't slide up and down. The mechanisms are broken. He doesn't do that. I had asked him. He said there's some that the sill is broken really bad. So
I'm more concerned about you saying the frames falling apart. Are these pieces falling out?
No, they won't. They need a little.
They can pull on them and get them.
You can pull on them and get them
That
out.
makes a little difference other than falling on them. That may
Well, okay, Ed. They're loose. They're not. They won't.
But he can fix them when he insulates them.
And then he'll insulate. Then he secures upstairs, which if you want to go up in the squad room and look, and in Cody's office, then he secures the framework in.
They can let you in there. They make me talk to them through the little window.
Yeah, well.
Did we go through the bid process for this, or?
No, he's the only one that came to, I hadn't asked anybody else. I had asked him because the fact he had done it upstairs. So, but if you want me to get some more bids on it?
I think we better.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to open it up for a bid for window repair.
Okay.
And whoever's interested in bidding on it can come in and speak with you, and you can point out what we need.
Okay.
I think we better do that instead of just relying.
Do you want me to just call some people that I know that would be interested in doing it, or you want to put an ad in the paper?
We need to advertise it.
Okay.
There's a lady you talk to behind you.
Oh.
The bad thing is everybody knows what he's bid now.
Oh, no, nobody really knows I've done this. This was...
So
Oh.
Well, we still need to move forward with it. We're pretty much tied to the fact that we need to bid projects like this.
Okay. So
So
from now on, you want them bid and
at
put
least
in the
come
paper?
At least come in and visit with us what your project is.
Yeah, and we had talked about this
I remember the
before.
conversation, but
Yeah.
that's the reason I asked. Did we put these out? for
No,
bid, or
we
is
did
this-
not. We didn't. We just were going to go ahead and
Well,
have him look and see.
He was the contractor that we hired to finish or to add to the sheriff's department where these original windows were repaired, right?
Right, why he did that project.
That was part of that project. So actually, this would be a new project
Okay,
that we can go forward with.
okay,
Does that make sense?
Which doesn't mean you have to take the lowest bid.
No, it doesn't mean we have to. We're not bound to anything, but we do need to open it up to.
okay.
Did you read the paper? We better do everything we can right. We're already bad people according
Yeah,
to
we
nice
do, that's
to
right.
Okay, okay, then I'll take those back
Okay,
and then just see what I get it in.
just put the ad in for 2 weeks.
For 2
At
weeks?
the end of the 2 weeks, see
Come
what
back
kind of
in.
response you have, and then we'll make a decision on it.
Okay.
So we're gonna.
Do you want, oh, sorry.
8 windows?
Let's start with just one to begin with here.
One.
One project.
Yeah.
But 8 windows and
Yes.
one.
Primarily, there's 8 to fewer windows. All the offices and rooms are different. So, but that's just kind of was a primary, of what it would cost for each office.
The one, I'm just talking about over the years, the ones on the north and the west are the most important
Right,
because those are the ones that are gonna catch cold winter winds.
right.
I have a deputy would argue with.
I was going to say, yeah, our office
he has
gets
an
pretty.
office.
But I mean, these probably are, the north and the west probably will affect more. I'm not saying they have to be, it almost looks like we ought to do them all if we got this much problem.
Well, if we do that, I think we go by floors. You know, do this main floors of where most of our offices are, do it first.
Okay. Do you want
Just see
that?
what kind of response.
Do you want that then, I mean, I can have Scott help me with that. Do you want that though then to include the bid to include the windows that do not function properly? Or,
I think that's gonna cut down on your bids. Because you're gonna have a window person do those.
right, but, okay, so then I
You're gonna
need,
have to have bids for that too.
so you want me to let's do that first.
Yes.
And then see what kind of response I have. Then do you
We'll put
want
out
me to
bids for repair.
window repair?
I think we better.
Okay, that's fine with me. I mean
Where
that's
is our, can we do all the windows on this floor? Do we, I mean, would we have the money? I mean, would we be smart to just, if we're gonna bid it, let's do them all?
How many windows are in the
five
courthouse?
rooms.
You don't know,
No, I don't know.
Rodney.
You might look at your off-budget sheet for the multi-year capital improvement fund in order to go ahead and deliberate and make a decision here. The funding may be here, the treasurer could probably tell you what the current balance is, and it won't affect your budget for this year. But if this is a need, it's you three gentlemen determine needs to be done, and the funding is there, it's your decision.
Can you get us
So
that?
we can go over that
It was averaged 375 per room,
per room.
and there's
And
5
this
rooms.
right, and the reason some of the windows are not bad. I mean, they're not. They can, but there are certain ones like Genie's that are. But it's also another thing too that can be. If it's something, we'll look into what each room's going to cost and go from there. And if it's something we don't feel like we have the money for, it's something that can wait. I mean, it isn't a necessity. They're not going to fall out or fall off. I'm just trying. We had spoke before about some alternatives of trying to save
Right.
on having
Well,
the.
I thought we put extra in there last year to on the fence and stuff, so there should be enough in that.
There should, because
Yeah, there
we're
should.
having no trouble. The boiler is up to par, past inspection. I had no trouble with it last year.
And you ain't let it up this year, so.
So, I mean, there should,
Well, what do you think? You want to receive the bid to replace or work on the windows on the entire first floor?
That's what I think. If we're gonna do it, let's put a bid in let's get them done.
Okay.
If we're just talking putting insulation in,
You want me to get a budget, see what we got?
I don't know, what is it, 30 windows on the first floor?
yes, there's approximately.
I mean, I
Let's see.
was just trying to count, you got 4 of them here. There's one in this room, isn't there? Mm-hmm. And then you'd be one in Dave's office, there's one in
Kelly's.
Kelly's, there's probably 1, 2, 3,
back there.
4.
And Amanda's
Amanda's.
4 and
And then
Amanda had
Doug's
4 or
one.
5.
Jeannie's
I ain't
is,
got one.
you know, she has 8 windows in hers. I have 5.
You have 5.
Dolores has 5. Yeah, the vault, is that what the vault?
3 here.
oh, I got 2 in the vault.
2 in the
Well,
vault.
And 1 downstairs.
So
What
an
fund did
average
you
of
say?
5 per room. You
What
don't,
was the name of that fund you were talking about?
Is that the wrong?
The capital improvement?
Capital improvement fund.
that would be like 2.
There couldn't be over 30
Yeah,
windows.
it's not a budgeted fund, so it's not in your budget.
$3,000.
It's the money where, like, when the auditors are done with the
She said
audit,
it's not in the budget.
yeah, when the auditors are done with the audit, then we do transfers into that fund. And that's like our savings account where we put money aside for big projects.
And you're fairly confident there's money in there to do this project?
Yeah, I'd have to, I mean, you're talking $375 per room, and that's 5 rooms, so you're talking, what,
Well, you just-
$1,600.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's not
I
a large
have it.
amount of money, so
How
I'm
much?
$1,600. I mean, 375 times 5.
Yeah, but there's,
Is he talking per set of
I think
windows
you better
or per
figure- I
window?
shouldn't even,
No, that's it. This is
$90
the
a window.
464 for
if you got 30
Jeannie's
windows,
entire
that's
room for
$2,700.
8 windows. So that
So
each
it's not
window
per
would
room, each
approximately
room's
cost
got
that.
more- Some have
Yeah.
more windows than others.
Yeah, and some have less.
You just gotta add up how many windows you have.
Yeah, so say $500 a room. Yeah, $500 a room. 500, so
I think
2,500 would be
you're
the
gonna
max,
spend
I would
close to
think.
3,000 on this floor.
Yeah, and we'll be fine with that.
Well, let's move forward with that then.
Okay,
Start off with an ad in the paper,
okay.
accepting bids for window repair. Contact you for details.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, and then the next is the transfer, budget transfer for the money that was taken out of my budget for the AT&T that I hadn't budgeted for, and I'd been in earlier and just pass it. Yeah. Talked to you about it, and so this is what we came up with. And I can clip that to the. Oh, here. Terry, that's the approximately what it was for the. Would be, and then they'd finish taking that out for the payment till the end of the year, and then starting in January, it would be taken out of the
The new fund.
the new fund. Courthouse General. Courthouse General.
Yeah, we
So
talked
we're gonna
about that.
transfer from general over into your budget.
Yes.
It's warming up. They got the heat going?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. That's what.
Maybe I was hallucinating here a little bit.
No. That's what I was
Are
from.
you
I'm
warming
loving
up?
it.
Leslie's like, yeah.
They'll be complaining later.
I know. I'm ready. I'm sending them.
Open the window.
This is for AT&T for,
Well, it's for the
E911 system.
it says router charges, and I don't really know how to explain it. It just, I had not budgeted for that. It was something that we started being charged for after we got the new system. So AT&T was charging us, it's the highlighted ones. You can see in my budget.
I think these were being expensed prior to this year out of the grants fund, but since we got rid of the grant funds, the way it was being paid, they had to find a different place to put it, and they started taking it from the building and grounds instead of the courthouse general. So
Instead of courthouse
a
general.
budget adjustment is just
Yeah.
the simplest way to solve it.
And then at the first of the year, it'll be taken out of
Show
courthouse.
up in the general.
Yeah, yes,
okay.
instead of, in my budget, yeah.
I don't mind doing this, but what are you gonna do with that extra $84?
Yeah,
You gonna have a Christmas party?
yeah, I was thinking about it, yeah.
All by ourselves. In our new room, how's that working out?
There you go, that, it's good, it's really nice.
I move we transfer $17,000 from county general courthouse, county general building and grounds.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Need each to
So there you
sign.
I should vote against that just to be different.
Just to be difficult, well, just because I, What, on that window, would you say window repair, or would you say window installation?
Some insulation, because if
Cleaning?
you're gonna do another one for
17,
the actual
16.
repair of broken windows.
I was
Okay.
working on stuff.
Well, will you help
Installation
me?
of existing windows.
In my brain.
Insulation of existing windows, okay. And then to contact. And I'll get a count on those windows.
There you go.
Do I have to sign it too? Yeah.
Yeah. you-
Thank you.
I just wonder if we shouldn't look at doing them all.
I wouldn't say if
I
they
don't
know
know,
more than
but-
what that is. I mean, while they're here doing it, they
Shoot
might as well
yourself in the
just
foot about every day, so.
do the whole courthouse.
And I
Done
could
with it.
get, I could like get a bid on each floor and see, and then,
I just wonder if we have the money, if we just shouldn't do them all. If it's gonna save some heat.
I honestly believe it will, just because the difference in those.
Well, that should pay for itself.
If we're gonna have somebody here working at it,
Well, let's get a total number of windows,
total
Okay.
number of windows
Okay,
and then,
by floor.
by floor, yes, by floor, and I could have it.
Right, even summertime, it's gonna help you. 'Cause
Oh.
I know this window over by Sharice, and, I mean, it, air just,
You can, when the wind's blowing, you can feel like,
No,
yeah, it's
been that way
unreal.
since I started working here.
Yeah.
You couldn't- we
well, I
used
know
to.
them ones those.
Cause I mean, you go up to the court, Natalie's office and
Do you take this or do I give it to Scott?
Well,
Once you
so
get to him, so
Natalie's
he
is
can
probably
put
about
it
the
in
only
there,
one.
and
I
then he
mean,
gets to sign it.
courtroom too, I mean, it,
Also.
You've got the judge, she
16.
has
yeah.
two windows in her office, so she would appreciate that.
I mean, if we found out the number of windows by floor and we
Yeah,
had
let's do that.
bids by floor and we can,
Let's get a total number of windows and include that with your bid information
Okay,
and just see where we're at.
okay.
Might as well, since we're doing it.
the only place we don't wanna do anything is in the food pantry.
There's no windows in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There is.
We'll have to pay for coats.
I wanted to get you involved. Do you have something to say?
And so we're gonna go by floor. Heat to floor, okay. But get a total bid.
Let's get a total, just to see where we're at.
Okay.
See what it,
Yeah. 'Cause I saw at one time the replacement costs for these Connect.
I mean, it's astronomical.
It was astronomical.
I mean, it was, but when I have the, put in for window repair to fix, we do the next step, I am going to see, get some, put it out there, maybe get some local companies to come in and give. But even window replacement, it's still, we need that insulation in there, and the window replacement down the road maybe will be an option, so. All right, thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
before Dolores leaves, treasurer bond, we tabled the last.
Oh, yeah.
You can't just sneak in and see us for a minute.
What's that?
I say you can't just sneak in and see us for a minute. It takes all day.
Can you kind of
Sneak
explain
in.
that to us a little bit?
There you go.
What it is?
It's my treasurer's bond, which is by statute. The amount on the statute is actually $25,000, and I don't know exactly when and where. I know I called the insurance company, and they said they've been doing $30,000 since they've been writing it. So, but they said the difference between the 25 and 30,000 isn't that much difference. Actually, I know there's quite a few treasurers who have even up to more than that. Basically, it covers, as a treasurer, I am liable for anything that goes on in my
It's an
office,
insurance
whether
policy for your,
whether it's myself or any of my staff. If there is an error that we end up having to, like, we may have messed a title up in a vehicle, which has happened. I'm just waiting to see whether they go do anything about it. And I'll visit with you about that if it happens.
it's my understanding, it's just basically an insurance policy more than.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, Leslie could probably give you more insight of what it actually bond is, but that's
So
Well, I think we
basically.
talked about it last time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's by statute that I have to have it.
So it's $464 for 4 years.
Yeah, 400, is it 64? I don't remember. It's been a while since I called them. I thought it was 424 or
I asked you about
464.
it, and that's what you said. it
Okay.
was.
I think we kind of thought it was like $30,000 for the bond, but it's
So I
not.
think
It
that's
is, but you're purchasing a bond for $30,000,
See, originally, I
$424.
think you had to have $30,000 cash in filing cabinet, wasn't it, before they started?
Yeah, that's what-
Oh, I have no idea. This is
Back in the day.
that was before my days. It is just, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, we were thinking it was gonna cost us $30,000 for the bond.
No, well, no.
So it's
Thankfully.
460, this is a lot different than what I had in my
And that's the
mind.
reason we just wanted to see
Yeah,
clarification.
yeah. I would say if you were having to pay $30,000, I'd
Yeah.
question it too. Yeah.
Okay, do we hear a motion to go ahead and approve the Kansas County Treasurer bond for the price of $464 for 4 years?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Didn't cover your gun.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Candy.
Good morning.
What do you have for us this morning?
My request is to tear down a partition in that food pantry room.
Okay, which one? The west
It's
one?
The west one that doesn't have electricity in it. It's fine. It would just make the room a little bit more functional to not have that partition in there. So that's why I'm asking. I mean, we can function with it. It just,
I don't think so, it's an add-on wall.
oh yeah, it doesn't even go to the ceiling.
Yeah, it
It
was an
just
add-on
is-
wall, I can't
It
remember.
used to be a meeting room separate and
It
then
wasn't
a
the original,
Right,
chamber of commerce.
no,
because I think that, if it was an original wall, then we'd run into.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not, no, it's, I had Chris Labarge looked at it, he's like, no, it's just like drywall. You know, to create a meeting room separate from the Chamber of Commerce.
yeah, Chamber of Commerce, that's who was in there.
Yeah.
Do you have a possible cost on that? or-
I actually wrote it into one of my grants when we did the Hanson grant. I said that it would allow for building shelving and changing the room structure, because Shelley and I had been talking about opening up that whole room, you know.
So basically, it wouldn't really cost us anything to tear that wall out.
I can pay for it if you want me to, or if you guys want to pay for it, feel free, but whatever, I just need permission to remove it.
Well, one of the things we always make sure we want to cover is to open it up for bids for the removal of a wall. Does that sound reasonable to you guys?
I didn't know if she does it with her own,
With their own
When
money, I
you're-
don't know.
I mean, are you gonna use grant money to do it? I mean, when you say your own money, it's not out of your own pocket.
Right, no, it was written within some of the grants that I wrote to Walmart and
Yes, I
Hanson.
don't, it's up to her, I suppose, if she wants to bid it, or if we're not gonna do it as a county.
Yeah, that's true if we're not paying taxpayer money.
That's
out of
true.
it. Yeah, I say go forward then.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
Unless you want us to put it up for a bid and,
it. No,
tax
not really.
dollars
I'd
do
like
it.
to get it done and kind of, but I mean, I will probably ask, because Chris is on the board, and so that's Brock's and yeah, so, and I have Fowler's too, so I can get two different quotes,
Yeah,
but,
just make sure they have the expertise to do it without
yeah.
destroying any of the infrastructure of the,
Yes.
because this being a historically registered building, we can't do
Right.
anything with it. Okay.
sure
I'm
make
not
it
gonna do
easier.
it on my own time with a sledgehammer, if that makes you feel any better. Good.
Okay.
Thank you for everything you do.
Sure.
Brian, I think we're ready for you.
All right. This will probably be the most exciting part of your day.
It could be.
I am Brian Thompson. I'm a partner with Mason Miller and Norton. We did do a financial statement audit for 2016. Just in the process of getting it wrapped up, and I guess since a couple of you are new, what we usually do is we come out and do the audit work. As you're aware, we went through the budget process this summer, and then we go over a draft of the audit report with you guys, and then everything looks good. We have you approve it, and then we go ahead and file it with the state and get it all wrapped up for you. I guess as a general overview, there's no issues we encountered during the course of the audit. No violations of statutes or anything like that we noted, and no real issues, which is good and different than the first couple we did here. It's
So we're
a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff's
progressing in the right direction.
been cleaned up a lot since the first one. which I believe the first one we did was 2012, I think. And back then there was as you may be aware, a very large cash deficit in the general fund and some other stuff that had gone on with budget violations and cash violations and that type of thing. And most all that's gotten cleaned up now through the budget process and everything. So, if you flip in there a few pages to page 1, this is page 1 to the opinion on the financial statements. It is a clean opinion. The rules that you follow are the Kansas Municipal Audit and Accounting Guide, and that is a guideline that the state publishes, and it's pretty much cash basis financial statements with a few added little twists in it, but makes it a lot simpler for counties and cities and stuff to interpret the financial statements, and makes it a lot simpler to prepare and just a lot easier deal than if you were to have to do full GAAP financial statements, which is a lot more complicated and accrual based and all that. If you read through that, that's just all real standard opinion. Like I said, the financial statements were presented in accordance with the rules prescribed in the state of Kansas. So, page 3 and 4 is the summary financial statement of the county. This shows all the funds the county currently has, broken out by fund type, beginning cash balance, total receipts and expenditures, and ending cash balance for each fund. And the way these financial statements are set up, this is the only actual statement. The rest of it's supplementary schedules that we'll get to in a little bit. And feel free to ask questions as we go along. Stop me if you want something explained better, for sure. You can see the first fund on here is the general fund, beginning balance of $932,175, and then as you work your way over, ending unencumbered cash balance of almost $1.7 million as of the end of 2016. And then a lot of these I'll just wait until we go into the more detailed pages to kind of go over them, I guess. I don't think there's anything else out of the ordinary on this page. It's a lot easier to look at when we get into the detailed ones and go from there. And then on page 6, these are the notes to the financial statement. Most of this is required by the Kansas Municipal Audit and Accounting Guide, and most of them are pretty standard. Just explanations to the financial statement, how it's prepared, that type of thing. Which note 1 is the summary of the significant accounting policies of the county. The first part there is regarding the what they call municipal financial reporting entity, which is the county, and a description of any related municipal entities to the county, which is things like the airport board and the hospital and things like that. Then you got the list of different types of funds the county can have, the type of accounting structure, like I said there at the bottom of page 6 and 7, and then description of the budget process on page 7. Then on page 8, note 2, this would be where we'd include any issues we found with statutory compliance and that type of thing, which, like I said, there was no issues regarding that. A lot of times that's the main thing that we do find problems with, is just different types of statutory violations. So, note 3, deposits and investments, description of the statutes that govern the deposit activities of the county, where the money can be deposited, how, and then it's a description of the total amount of deposits for the year, and that they were all either covered by FDIC insurance or collateralized with securities. Note 4 there at the bottom, page 8, is the defined benefit pension plan note. This is the note describing Capers, how it's set up and how it's funded. And this one has changed a little bit the last couple of years. A lot of it has to do with changes in accounting rules and how they're dealing with pensions in light of the continued underfunding issues related to most pensions around the country. So, the main change that has happened there is towards the middle of page 9 there, where it talks about the net pension liability. What they've required us to start doing is Capers has had a independent CPA firm do a audit of the Capers fund and determine the underfunded portion, and then what they do is go through a calculation based on contributions of each county and city and school and the total unfunded amount of the Capers liability, and they allocate a certain portion to each employer in Kansas. It's really kind of a strange deal, but they 120-page long report, 130, something like that. They go through and break all this out. But anyway, what it amounts to is for your financial statements, we now are required to include a paragraph that says Cheyenne County's portion of the collective net pension liability of Capers, which, like I said, this is all calculated out by the third-party firm, and they've calculated that at $1,224,273, which that likely will not come due all in one chunk or anytime in the near future, but what that means is down the road, if the current situation continues with Capers of being underfunded, unfunded liability issues, they could require all employers in the state of Kansas to contribute a portion of that unfunded liability down the road. And really, you guys don't really have any control over any of that. And it's just how they calculate it. And at this point, it's all a guess.
Yeah, they're planning to try to catch up from mistakes in the past.
Yep, and they continue to make mistakes even to this day, and use unrealistic rates of return and things like that to try and make it look a little more solvent than what it probably really is. So it'll be a tough one to see what happens down the road. But note 5 is regarding 457F plan. Note 6 is any other post-employment benefits the county has, including compensated absences and how they're paid out upon termination or retirement. Note 7, interfund transactions. This is a schedule of transfers that were made, what fund they came from, which fund they went to, the statutory authority, and the total amount of the transfers. Eight and 9, that would just be where we put anything regarding lawsuits or anything like that the county's involved in, which there was nothing that we had to include there. Note 10 is the liability for landfill closure and post-closure cost notes. Cheyenne County does participate in the method of having the trust fund to cover potential future costs related to the landfill. So that's just a description of how that's set up, and then contributions during 2016 to that trust to fund it for 2016. And then note 11 would be where we'd put anything that happened subsequent to the end of 2016 but before today that could have a material impact on the financial statement, which there was nothing that we noted. So I know, probably flew through that a little fast for you guys. Any questions so far on anything in particular on that? From here on out, like I said, the rest is just kind of a detailed look at different funds. I'll probably hit the major ones. If there's one in particular you guys want to look at, we sure can. Page 13 is the Schedule 1, which is a comparison of the total expenditures for each budgeted fund to the approved budget for that fund. So the general fund, road and bridge, bridge building, noxious weed capital outlay, prairie dog, special alcohol, special parks and rec, E911, hospital and rural fire district funds. As I said before, these were all at or under budget. Most of them are well within the budget, so that's a good thing, and really all you need to worry about on that schedule.
I do have something
Yep.
I would like to
Yeah.
address. It's in regards to the landfill.
Yep.
Dave Fleming came and met with the commissioners in regards to the trust fund.
Mm-hmm.
And it would appear that when they calculated the payment in 2016, it was incorrect.
Okay.
It's a 30-year pay-in,
Mm-hmm.
and the formula that was being used was basically for the life of the landfill rather than for the pay-in period, and so it was underfunded.
Okay.
And so we are in the process of addressing,
And I
getting
know.
that remedied.
Okay.
So does that need to be addressed in here?
It won't need to be, because with this, all we do, we would just put in here whatever was paid in cash, what the payment was, whether or not it was the correct amount or not will not affect these financial statements. It'll just be whenever the catch-up payment was made, then we'll adjust for it then. But
Okay, and Mr. Fleming does have the documentation
Okay.
in regards to the state calculating the payment for 2016, and then has a new letter in regards to what the payment needs to be this year to bring it up
yep,
to speed.
which I know they did. It is a new person at the state that was doing that, I think, in either within the last year or two, so that might have been the issue. But yep, I will talk to him and make sure we get that.
Well, I see this one's 14,510, and I think this was what, 65,000 a year.
Yes,
So-
basically, like I said, what happened
So
was
basically 50.
when they calculated the payment in 2016, or when the state did, they used 49 years instead of the, I believe, 70 years that was remaining
And that might
on
be-
the.
We might want to go ahead and update the note accordingly. We won't change the financial statements since, like I said, that wasn't paid, but we may want to put an extra explanation in there that it was underfunded. Because it'll probably look a little strange to go from this amount and then next year just jump up to a big payment. And I think that'd be a good idea. So we'll talk to him and
Which
get
I believe
him
we're
on
gonna have to
it.
make that payment this fiscal year,
Yep.
before the end of the year,
Yep.
or November 1st maybe. even.
So will we do that for fiscal year 17, or should I do it period 13?
Just do it 17.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. They're starting on page 14. These are the detailed schedules of the various funds. First several will be the budgeted funds. They'll all look pretty similar. You got your receipts, and then your expenditures, a comparison from 2015 to 16, and then the 2016 column, they'll have a comparison between actual and budget numbers for 2016. I think everything in the general fund kind of was pretty well as anticipated, as based on the budget. The one thing we did do a little different than what was budgeted is we did transfer that oil and gas depletion trust money through, just kind of passed through the general fund. So that's one item that was not budgeted for. And then there's some other grants and reimbursements that typically aren't budgeted that did come through the general fund. That's why it's about $700,000 over what was budgeted for receipts. Then on page 15 is where the expenditures for the general fund start, broken out by department. Here again, comparison to prior year and comparison to budget for 2016. Like I said, probably a lot of these numbers you've kind of already seen in going through the budget process for 2018. The expenditures go clear to page 19 for the general fund. And then at the bottom of that page 19 is where it shows the beginning cash balance, the amount of receipts that were over, under, and then the ending cash balance of almost 1.7 million in the general fund, which, as you can see, start of 2015, it was at 218,000. So we're able to build that up quite a bit, which is good because so many, I see about $4 million in expenditures both years in the general fund, so it's good to have a little cushion in that for sure compared to where it was at. Page 20's road and bridge. Not able to make about 440,000 in transfers out of that fund, still stay well under budget, and have a good ending cash balance there too, 282,183.
Can anybody tell me where the money comes for special parks and recreation funds?
That'd be primarily liquor tax, a portion of the.
So what can we spend that on?
You said the special parks and rec. Primarily going to be spent on improvements to parks and grounds, which I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Cities don't ever seem to have any problem getting it spent. Counties, it seems like maybe do.
Yeah, there's like $7,000 in.
Yeah.
Through the years, like, I know Bird City came over when they, I think they wanted some benches for, I don't know if it was the park or the swimming pool, or just usually
got some
somebody comes and
basketball.
requests funds for that.
And I know some places have made donations out of there, which I don't think. I'd have to reread the statute. I don't think that's necessarily permissible to make donations, but it's.
It seems like quite a little money just laying in.
Yeah, and that
You
it seems like that's kind of
seems
what
like we ought
happens.
to be
It
able to
just
Get to
accumulates.
use it for something
Yeah.
that would
What about
benefit
like
the
repairs
county.
to the fairgrounds?
That could be. I will look the statute up. I don't know that I can answer that off the top of my head, but yeah, it seems like that's what happens sometimes. It just
It's
kind
a
of
problem
accumulates.
for the counties.
Yeah, but it seems like it just kind of accumulates, and I think that's the problem. Is a lot of times they're not necessarily real clear on what they can spend it on. So that's a good idea to be aware of.
But that's been accumulating for several years. There's not a lot put in there.
Well,
Yeah, it's
I
usually.
understand that, but
It's
why
been a
not
while
use
since
it if we
somebody's
can use it for something that'll benefit the county?
Yep. It's usually $1,500 to $2,000 a year. Seems like.
Fairgrounds seems like a very good place to be.
Yeah, I would think so. So I'll look at statute up to make sure. but I'd imagine that would be fine to do that with. Yeah, and I'm sure they always could use that for something.
Do you have any deficiencies at all?
No. It's like I said, I don't know if we had, I guess kind of through the course of things when we're here, sometimes we'll just discuss little minor things with various departments and stuff like that. But no, nothing that was a real concern.
No worrisome.
No, nothing that was a real concern, which is, yeah, very good. Very good. So, get to page 30 is where the non-budgeted funds start. So these just show current year revenues and expenditures in each of those funds.
On some of these funds, like this landfill closure fund, I see it's got $295,000 accumulated in it. Are we getting any interest off that?
That's the one that we're discussing that's in that trust. It, I believe, is earning interest, but I do not know that for sure. But yeah, that's the one that is in the trust fund, and yeah, it does look like $746 interest on that. But
Brian?
Yes.
Would that be considered public funds since it's in a trust, or would that not?
I don't know. I don't think it would be, because I think
Well, it's a special fund, because
It's-
it's solely for the purposes of the landfill, if something were to happen.
yeah, and
Yeah, I just didn't know if it could still be classified as public funds as far as the interest rate. I mean, that's
I don't know. I'm guessing not, because I think it's got a separate ID number and everything, doesn't it, for that trust, if I remember right? And it,
Basically, its sole purpose is if they have a hazardous cleanup.
yeah,
Because before the feds come in and save us, you gotta spend $1 million.
yeah, it's
So it's basically, they need $1 million cushion.
and
Well, that amount varies
yeah,
from year to
and
year.
it's all just projected off estimated current and future costs, and that's what she's talking about, how they go through that calculation. Which all the other counties we do the audit for, there was two different options. One was to set up this trust fund like Cheyenne County did and fund it through that manner. The other option is we go through a series of tests to demonstrate financial solvency essentially of the county. So these other counties don't necessarily have money set aside for it, but we have to go through the calculations to demonstrate that they do have sufficient resources to cover any potential current and future closure costs, which could be where it got confused, because usually with those calculations they project that off the estimated useful life of the landfill versus the 30-year with the trust. So just kind of a different way of doing things depending on what method was originally chosen to do.
On page 34, the EMS building, the reimbursed expenses, is that what we collected from transfers?
That would be reimbursements from the city. Would that be
City
correct?
and the county.
City and county.
Which is actually the rural fire and ambulance funds each month or each pay period.
Yeah. Yeah. What?
I think each month they pay from the rural fire, from the ambulance, and from the city. They all put money into it, and that's where it's receipted into. It's reimbursed expense
Yep.
for the expenses that we pay for the emergency building.
Oh,
Yep. The actual money that you get for ambulance services, that's all currently going in the general fund, and it was.
it goes into the general?
Yep. All the ambulance runs, all the incoming expense runs through the general fund. And looks like $118,595 in 2016. And yeah, that all runs through the general fund. And another thing that might be a little confusing, I guess, is maybe you already dealt with that at some point, but you will see different multi-year capital improvement funds. There's the one for the home for the aged, multi-year capital improvement. There's one for the airport, and that was just set up that way to keep the money separate that was designated for each entity, I guess, so that way airport's money didn't get spent on the home for the aged and vice versa, and make it a lot easier to track, because that was another issue originally when we first started doing the audit, was just with the special equipment fund and different ones, was the tracking of it and making sure that it was getting spent for the designated purpose that was supposed to be. We do include the airport as part of the audit. And that's on page 37. We just get a summary of their receipts and expenditures for the year, and then include that in here and take a look at their invoices and stuff like that when we're doing the audit. And of course, most of their money comes from the county appropriating it to them, and then what they spend on utilities and repairs, maintenance, that kind of thing. Ending balance they had was $75.19. And on page 38 and 39, these are the last of the funds. These are all agency funds. This would be money the county holds in their accounts, but it is not county money. It'd be held for other entities. Majority of it's going to be your tax money being held, not yet distributed to the taxing entities. So there on 38 and 39, you got about $5.3 million in cash that would be on the county's books, but is not available for the county to be spent. It's like I said, it's for other entities.
We can't borrow from it for a while?
Nope. People have tried, I think. I don't recommend it.
Well, the state borrow from the.
Well,
Capers Fund?
I don't recommend you follow anything the state does.
That's scary in itself.
Yeah, do as they tell you to do, not as they do themselves, I guess. Yeah, they do pull some interesting tricks for sure. Any questions anybody has? I guess.
Bottom line is, if you're happy, we're happy.
Yep. I think we're pretty smooth.
I have a few questions.
Yep.
One is, are there going to be any audit adjustments for you to do?
I think we've gotten most of them. There might be. I'll have to ask Travis, but I think we pretty will. Because we got all those transfers, I know, a long time ago booked, and I don't know if there's going to be anything else, but I'll double check.
And then I was just wondering about the annual transfers that we normally do. Do we need to have that discussed and agreed upon? by the commissioners,
For 2017 or 6?
Well, it would be the money left over from 2016 that we would transfer from what we have by resolution or by.
Think.
Some of them have been transferred, but not all of them.
Okay.
Like the equipment reserves, there's a few that were transferred, but not all of them.
Okay.
Those types of.
Gotcha. You might.
The way I understood it, we were supposed to, normally we were supposed to wait until this.
Yeah, and that's always been
decision.
that's always been kind of a conundrum, I guess, since we've been doing it, is how to do that. Because I know, like I said, we made some earlier because I know they wanted the money to spend quicker. So, I guess what she's talking about is a lot of times at the end of the fiscal year, so like coming up in December, you guys would approve different transfers, like from the operating funds to equipment reserve and capital outlay and stuff like that. And typically what we do is you approve up to a certain amount pending the audit, and that way we know that you have enough budget and enough cash to make the transfers. So then we kind of determine with your guys' approval, what the actual amount will be during the course of the audit. So I guess what she's talking about is the ones that were approved in December 2016. We went ahead and did some of them early on this year because they were wanting the money in the other funds, but we have not done all of them. So
Yeah, but it helps Aaron and I.
Yeah, I remember when the patrol first went video and everything. Yeah, everybody thought it was going to be the worst thing in the world. It was actually the best things. Because you go back through and write your reports on it.
You know, what you think you remember and then you watch it, sometimes it's two different things.
Yeah, the car turned red, yeah.
There's a new paint that can have
I had a car that was, it was called Mystique, depending on what direction you looked at it, it changed colors. Any discussions?
She understands the, kind of the workings of a hospital.
And I sincerely believe she has their best interest at heart.
And I don't, she doesn't.
So,
It's the only one we have, and I think it's
probably
a
fits.
good one. If that's,
If you want to go ahead and make a motion.
didn't say I'd do that. I so move.
You need to say
Oh.
who it is.
I move we appoint Connie Jenkins to the hospital board.
it. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Go ahead and we'll offer the position to Connie Jenkins of St. Francis for the vacancy on the hospital board. Any other business before the?
AP and payroll.
Oh, yeah. Now that we have Natalie's payroll warrant issued, or not payroll, but her warrant issued, we can go ahead and scatter these down.
Excuse me. I have one question about what is a uniform? I mean, what curtails a uniform? For, I don't know, for sheriff's department?
Some of that's set in statute, the colors and so forth, but
Yeah.
other than that, it's just need of your department.
Okay. And I don't have a problem with it. We bought socks for the sheriff's department. Is that, I mean,
It's common.
that's what I wanted to know. Is
Yeah,
it
it's
common?
common.
Okay.
Imagine so everybody match.
Yeah, they want you to match. Plus, it's a comfort thing. A lot of times, if you can buy you a good brand of sock and buy them bulk, you get a better price on them.
So is there a chance we can get socks and we don't
There's a
match?
chance. The patrol used to
We
buy,
can use a sheriff to put the word out.
patrol used to buy everything except.
Oh, I noticed there was socks on there, and I'm like,
I think it's a uniformity thing that
Okay.
they just want everybody to be the same, even though Cody's never in a uniform. Really, I mean, he's an oddball, but that's his prerogative. Okay, still need a motion to go ahead and approve payroll and warrants, accounts payable.
So moved.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The only thing else I have is about the 20th this month, there's a transportation meeting in Hayes. I'd like to attend just to get.
Reference the band and
Yeah, it's the mandatory meetings where you can either call or phone in or attend.
since it's your first one and you're not really
The
sure.
last one I did over the phone, but I'd really like to attend and talk to some people.
I agree, I think that's a good idea.
And then, I know last year the former clerk asked and got approval for new scanners that we use to scan in all of our documents in the CIC. Nothing was ever done. I got another quote and would like to replace those. The one I'm using is getting on its last legs, and the one that Sharissa has is like monster. It takes up a bunch of room. But I think that one we can repurpose to another department. And we're kind of stuck with going with CIC. Their equipment.
Well, once you start with a company like that. And I do like these.
We use those in Oakley.
Well, we had talked about it a couple of months ago. I like that. Cuts down on the surprise factor.
So move the purchase, is it one scanner, two scanners,
$3,100
or 3,100?
That's Beecher, isn't it?
for both of them.
Oh, really?
With them doing whatever they do.
That's not
Yeah.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Like we're good to go.
So are we gonna be looking at transferring some money over to you guys for jail expenses and,
You know, we've been doing pretty well because we only have the two in there now.
We did move some money over there in July, somewhere in there.
Yeah, out of his grants or something.
Yeah.
That was his last.
He had some money left over for
That he wasn't-
another fund.
did that come out of that drug deal?
No, he had put in money for this year for grants, and he didn't do any grants.
Yeah.
The grant match,
Oh, okay, the grant match.
and then we transferred
I remember
that out,
that.
grant matched into his jail.
So I think he's come back pretty close. I think.
So we're running all right.
Yeah, unless we have a super crime wave go on here, I think we'll be all right. Okay, is there a motion for adjournment?
Yeah. Roger, say it.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, and the
Sit
next
here and
meeting will
wait for you,
be
I'll
the 30th,
run out of air.
Monday the 30th.
I'm gonna go to Bird City and watch.
Well, we knew this was coming down the pike, and that FEMA deal with,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
wow.